All right. Now that we've got Eclipse going inside of Ubuntu and we've got it hooked up to Odoo and we're able to run inside of Eclipse and debug it here, we want to make sure we can understand that we have flexibility to go both ways. In other words, we can stop here and not use Eclipse for our interpreter. Instead, we can come in here to our Odoo terminal, just one of these terminals, and I'm going to get rid of our Python tutorial. We don't need that up anymore. And I'm just going to go here and get out of this and go to our Odoo 9 directory, and I can keep going up here, I guess, until I find our launch. Not in this window, I can't, but I can in... Maybe I can't. We'll just type it out again. We'll just type it out. So here to launch, we can odoo.py. We have our add-ons path equal to custom add-ons and add-ons. And we want to update the dietfacts2 database, and we want to update the module dietfacts. So we run it, and now it's running inside of the terminal here, but we can make and use Eclipse for our editor. And so that's one way to go, because running the interpreter inside of Eclipse can be painful unless you're debugging something. If you know what you're doing and you don't need to debug, then this can be faster. And we'll try it both ways through the remainder of this course, and then you'll just have to try each of them yourself and decide under which conditions you'd rather run Odoo here. And on this experience, it'll always be the same. Notice how we can go to products, we can go to sales orders, we can pull anything up we wish to pull up. And it's all running here. If we control and stop this from running, now let's launch it under Eclipse. We'll go here, relaunch with the same configuration right here, and it'll launch it for us, and it'll remember our arguments. So we'll have the dietfacts module all loaded like it's supposed to, and we can go here and we have the same working Odoo. It's just deciding which one you want to use. Now if you try to run it again here, watch what happens. It'll say address already in use, so it'll just not let you run it twice. And in this instance right now we're running it under Eclipse, and you can tell because it shows it here as running, and we'd have to terminate it. So let's go ahead and see how we can extend Odoo more and build on some of our existing applications. So we've already added some fields to models, and we've already looked at how we can update the views. And so as part of this next transition, we've installed Eclipse and we've learned, how to get it hooked up to Odoo. One of the big values of having Eclipse installed, or any other IDE for that matter, is it really can help you navigate the source code within Odoo and see how things fit together. And so the remainder of this lecture is helping you find things when the time comes. And one example would be, we want to go ahead and see how do we create our own actions and how do we create our own menus, because we've first learned how to update the models, then we learned how to update the views, and now we need to learn how to update our actions. And one of the ways that we can learn how to do that is by using the source code that's already built in to Odoo. So let's just take a second to open up the add-ons folder. So we go up here to the top and we open up add-ons, and you can see, look at all these add-ons that Odoo comes with. we're going to go down here quickly to product, because that's one we've been working in. And let's go ahead and open up this application. And you'll notice that we have a product.py. And so Odoo a lot of times will name their primary model off what is the base name of it, product.py. Now, we've inherited from it. We've looked at it through the views. We've looked at it through models inside, but we haven't really looked at the code at what makes product a product. Where does this product template come from? Well, one of the mistakes I think that I've seen with a lot of Odoo developers is they don't spend a lot of time looking through the source code that's in Odoo. And that's what this particular lecture is about. It's about committing time to going into the Odoo source code and the models you're most interested in, looking at how everything fits together. Because your best teacher is going to be the Odoo modules, the Odoo applications, the Odoo source code. I'm trying to give you a foundation and framework of how to use the debug mode to find these things, and then that's what we looked at first, was like using the debug mode to how can we find what the names of these views are, what the names of the models are, how can we extend them. But the other part of this, the part that we're now getting into, is that understanding the Odoo source code of where these things are inside of the Odoo source, so that you can make the changes that you need to make on your side when you build your application. And the better you can understand the base application, the better your applications are going to be. And you'll learn a lot from looking through this source code. So with that said, let's open up product.py. And you'll notice right from the beginning, look at all of these imports we have at the very top. Now, don't worry about the ones that are unresolved, because Odoo's framework is loading lots of things in when it runs. This IDE doesn't always see it all. So this isn't necessarily a bad thing. But we do see that it's importing a lot of libraries at the top. So obviously product.py is complicated. So we're not going to try to find everything in it. But let's look, if we do a Control F to find, for product.template. Because we've been seeing that, we've been working with it. Let's see if we can find it. When I hit find, I'm just going to keep hitting find. I'm just looking for it, and sure enough, I'm going to stop right here. Notice we have a class product template, and its name is product template. And it's interesting that you'll see that it actually inherits from another model called mail thread. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But the most important thing to remember is that this product template, this is that base class that we've been building on and adding calories to, serving size, and everything else. We also can start to see these defs, which is the same kind of definition defining a method for different things inside our product template. So we can see that there's a method called product template price. Now, we don't know everything it does, but we can tell by the name of it, it probably has something to do with price. And I can look here and see that it's looking up a price list and checking for a price list. So I know something about what this is doing, but we're just going to skip over all that for now. And all these defs we're going to skip over. And what we're looking at is these columns here. This underscore columns equals in this bracket. Now, this is a little different syntax than the Odoo 8 API. There are still modules, especially these applications like product, that have been around since Odoo 7 and before Odoo 8, and they use the older format. And so this is an older format for defining the models And I will show you, so there's complete clarity here, what I mean by this. If I go to dietfacts.py, notice how we're defining our fields in our models with this syntax, saying calories equals, and then fields.integer. This is the new 8.0 API. It's a lot better. It's a lot cleaner. This is the older API. So it's important that we're talking about these things, because as you look through the source code, you're still going to want to be familiar with the older API. But what we can see here is we can see the columns getting defined: name, sequence, description for the sale, description for the purchase. Now, these are the same fields that we saw inside our model list when we go inside through the interface and settings to go in here and actually look up these models. So if I go here and I go to product template, and you wonder, well, where does it get all these from? How does it know what all these fields are? Because all we were doing was adding to this list. This list doesn't really exist inside the database, except for the fact that these models inside of product.py, this template, this is what's actually making all those fields. So when we see the category, for example, the category ID in product right here, internal category, if I click on it, I can see it's a many to one. I can see the object relationship is to product category, and I can see the field help here, select category for the current product. If I go back to here, I can see there's the help, select category for the current product. I can see there's a domain that restricts it to only when the type of product is normal. I can see that it's a required field. I can see here's the name, and here again is the relationship that ties the category ID in the product to a product category within the Odoo framework. And we can look through this model and pull it apart that way, and I encourage you to do that. Just like if I go down here to currency ID, I can see that that's a related field to the company, that it's actually getting the currency that's going to be used inside of this product from our company record. List price, it's a floated field right here, and there's where we get sale price. Here's where the help goes on the end, usually when they put the help for a particular field. But look at how many fields there are here for product category or product template. So that's what I'm looking at right here. Can it be sold? This field, sale okay. Where does that show up at? And these are questions to ask yourself and to practice a little bit with the framework. So if I go to product and click on it, where does it get that sale okay from? Right there. Field, sale underscore okay. It's a Boolean. We haven't really talked too much about Boolean fields yet, but a Boolean field is just true or false. And so it can either be a checkbox or not a checkbox. And so that's sale underscore okay. I can go now, not just in the model, but now we know how to find that in the code right here. More importantly, I could see everywhere that gets referenced by using a feature here in Eclipse. So I can copy that, go to my search, and go to file search. And it'll automatically put anything in my clipboard here, if it's empty, sale okay. And I can say I want to look in any Python file for sale okay and hit search. And now it's going to take it a little bit, but look how fast it did that search. And I can see now here that there's 12 matches within all of my Odoo installation. in which that sale OK is looked at. And so let's look inside of the sale.py. Well, what would you think a sale.py would have in it? Well, sale is the main application for sales management. So this is our sales order. I can go over here and double click on it, and I've opened up sale now. If I double tap on that, I should be able to Control F and find sale OK in here. And there it is right here. So the product ID that's within our sale order line item, I'm sure, this is probably sale order line item. And we can go up just to verify. Yep, there's our sales order line item. So every sales order line item has to have a product on it, right? You might wonder how that would happen. How does that product ID get tied in onto a product line on a sales order line item? Well, as we found, and this one looks like it's using the new syntax, as you can see, not like the product was. Product ID equals many to one. So we can have many products out there, but only one can be on this line item. And here's where it ties it to product.product. Now, it's not product.template, but you'll learn as an Odoo developer that product.product actually inherits from product.template. So if you have a model that's product.product, you automatically get product.template with it. But the most important thing to see here is that notice how we found our sale OK field, and that this domain equals sale OK equals true. Well, what does that tell us as to how this product field is defined? What this means is that no product can be on a sales order that doesn't have that product's sale OK equaling true. So that gives you an example of kind of how to search through the Odoo source code. Use this Odoo source code to help you get familiar with the syntax, help you get familiar with what the modules do and the applications do. If you're extending product, spend time looking at the product template and understanding the fields of it and some of the methods. If you're extending sales orders, spend time in the sales order application. And anytime you need to do something with an application that you can't figure out how to do on your own, try to find another place in Odoo that's doing it. If there's another part of Odoo that's doing a particular process in a way you would like to mimic, find out where that is, find a view ID, find a piece of the code or a field, and use your search tools here inside of Eclipse to search inside the files you need to search for and find something inside of Odoo that can help you work with that data in the same way. And that's probably the biggest tip of all in this entire course, is to always look to the Odoo source and the Odoo applications that are doing the kinds of things that you want to do. Rather than trying to figure it out yourself, find somewhere else in Odoo where it's doing something similar, get that working for you, and even if it's not the ideal interface yet, even if it's not the ideal functions you want yet, get as close as you can using what Odoo offers you in the framework, and then customize from there when you absolutely have to. It's always harder to go it alone. So that wraps up this section, and where we really get a new environment to work in within Odoo, and having Eclipse as the editor, as well as in exploring the Odoo source code. So in our next lecture, we're going to start taking what we've learned and extending our application in great new ways.